Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Today I am before you to discuss about a very important topic, which is from India. Actually, Indian government is trying to pass a Waqf Amendment bill in the parliament. If this bill is passed in the parliament, a new law would be done which gives the Indian government control of all the Waqf properties, which includes our mosques, madrasas, other properties like graveyards, lands, complexes, whose benefit should be given to the Muslims. All this will go under the government. Yani the government can make decisions either to take over them or to sell them off, etc. As you all aware of this Waqf amendment bill which is going on, you must have come across the social media asking you to send an email to reject that bill. So make sure you do that. If you come across that link, just click that link, spend some 10 seconds and click that link, send an email. Actually, what has happened is, in the parliament, when the objection was raised, the joint parliament committee has asked public opinion. Public yani me and you. So your opinion should be to reject that bill, because the 44 amendments that they are going to do is which give them an option to misuse the power. So we don't want that thing to happen with our properties, yani our work properties. So make sure you send an email and saying that you reject this bill, so that this bill is not passed. So let me tell you what has happened with this Waqf thing. One thing is a good thing that has happened. It's all Allah's will that people are aware of what Waqf is now. Me and you and all other normal Muslims, they were not aware of being Muslims. They should have been aware of what Waqf is. So right now they are getting that awareness. So Waqf properties includes mosques, graveyards, as I mentioned, mosques, graveyards, complexes, madrasas. These Waqf properties are the properties which was given by our ancestors, maybe the kings or some rich people, or some people who donated. They may not be rich, but they had an intention to give the land which was belonging to them for the sake of Allah, for the sake of Muslims. So what they did was they gave it to the Waqf board, yani Muslims holders, mutawallis, caretakers, or the chairman of the Waqf board, saying that this property, for the sake of Allah, I am giving it to you, so that you use it for the benefit of Muslims, poor Muslims, for the development of our community. So these are the Waqf properties. This is called as Waqf. This was happening since the beginning of, at the era of Prophet Muhammad SAW, when the ayats, the verses of charity, which was revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet's companions, they started giving whatever was possible from them. They brought everything from their house and they gave it for the sake of Allah. You must have come across all these verses and hadiths and the stories from the Prophet's time. One of the examples that I can give you is, in Medina there was beautiful big date trees garden, which was belonging to I believe Abu Talha radiallahu anha. So he donated it for the sake of Muslims. The same way Uthman radiallahu anha purchased a well. He purchased a well and gave it to the Waqf, saying that let this well be used for the sake of Muslims. Such way the thing. The same way, Ibn Battuta, he writes, one of the travelers, the famous travelers, Ibn Battuta, he writes in his journal that in Damascus, Syria, there was a Waqf mentioned, saying that when the waiter in the hotel, if he breaks a porcelain vessels, etc., while accidentally while serving, that vessel's charges should not be taken from his salary. It should be taken from the Waqf board. The Waqf will pay for it. because that waiter is a poor guy. Nowadays what will happen is, if a waiter or employee breaks something, if a waiter in hotel breaks a vessels and expensive vessels, the boss will tell him that you will pay from your salary. See how the Waqf money should be used. This is a very good example. So this Waqf was done for the sake of poor Muslims, the poor waiters in Damascus, Syria. At the time, when was it? It was 1327 AD. At that time, it was written that if a waiter breaks a porcelain dish or a vessel, he will not pay it from his salary. The Waqf will pay for him. So this is how the Waqf money should be utilized, from that time. But right now, what has happened is, in Waqf properties, there is someone called as mutawalli. Mutawalli yani caretaker. So nowadays there are managers, caretakers, chairman, secretary, etc. If you can see why, Waqf in India is the third largest landholders. Muslims of Waqf board has third largest, the land. The first two are government entities, that is the Defense Board and the Railway Board, and then comes the Waqf Board. The Waqf Board has got the third largest properties, which is I believe around 9.4 acres of land, 9.4 lakh acres of land. The same way, the history says that the world's one of the first universities, Al-Qarawiyyin University, Morocco. That is a Waqf property. The same way in India, when King Muhammad Ghori was asked a land for the mosque, so he donated a complete village for the sake of Waqf for the sake of Jama Masjid Multan, in India, Sindh side, Multan now it is in Pakistan. The same way, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, when he wanted to build an hospital, he asked people, to give some of the land so that he can build a very big hospital where the treatment of poor Muslims can happen for free. So people started donating the land, for the sake of Allah, for the sake of Waqf, where Firoz Shah Tughlaq, he built a hospital. The same way, there was king called Sher Shah Suri. He donated a land for the masjid, and plus he built one of the first highways, ring road from Kabul to Dhaka, and that was also a Waqf property. What he did was, in that highway there were rest houses. Nowadays you can call it as lodges, lodge rest houses for the travelers to stay, and the money that was coming from that houses was given to Waqf board for the sake of development of the community. So this way, there are certain examples from the past. Now in India, what has happened was, Waqf, who is the third largest landowner, third largest. The first and second are government entities, that is Air Force, and the second is Railway Board. After Air Force and Railway, the largest land owner is Waqf Board, which has got around 9.4 lakh acres of land, plus it has got 8.7 lakh properties. Even after having so much of land and properties, why is Muslim community still not developed? Why poor Muslims are still suffering? Here comes the point. It is because of the corruption that is caused by these mutawallis, secretaries, chairmen of Waqf board. They are not utilizing it properly. In 2006, when Sachar committee report, there was a report of Sachar committee report. Sachar committee report stated that the Muslim minorities were the poorest of the minorities in India, and in that report they had a section of Waqf. They said that Waqf, if utilized it properly, if the Waqf board members utilized the Waqf properly, it would generate around 12,000 crores of income at that time in 2006. But how much that was that generating? It was generating only 163 crores annually. Why is this happening? Because of the corruption of the Waqf members. Most Mutawallis managements are corrupt. Many Waqf properties has been given on rent for very less amount, and some of the properties has been occupied by illegal mafia encroachment, which is allowed by these corrupted people. They, if they had handled it very well, Muslim community would have been benefited it in a good manner. One of the examples of corruption of the Waqf board I can give is the Maharashtra Waqf board has given a land to Mukesh Ambani. Mukesh Ambani is one of the richest person in India. He has built his home Antilla, which is very famous, and that he has built it in Waqf land. So this level of corruption is going on. And one of the hotel which is named as Windsor Manor Hotel in Bangalore, and that is also in a Waqf land, and that has been given on a rent of 12,000 rupees only, but it is in crores. The value of it is in crores. Why has this happened, and how has this happened? Because of the corruption of the Waqf board members. If these properties are utilized properly, we would generate around 120,000 crores of income for the sake of development of Muslims. But that is not happening. Why? Because of the corruption which lies in the Waqf board. Actually, this corruption, because of this awareness, now people will come to know that these things is happening in Waqf board. So we as Muslims should take care of it, should object it, should look into it later. But right now, we should not allow this bill to pass. Now this bill, the government is going to make 44 amendments in this bill. Those 44 amendments, one of the amendments is that if the bill is passed, the power of the Waqf decision making will go to the government. Whichever the ruling government will be, they have the right to misuse it. They can go ahead and take over any masjid, any mosque, any madrasas, any graveyard or land belonging to Waqf. So if this bill is passed, we should not allow this bill to pass. And another section from this bill says that if it is passed, anybody can claim the Waqf property to be his and make it a dispute. And when the dispute goes to the court, until the dispute is not resolved, the control of that property will be taken by the government. Again, the government will benefit from it, not the Muslims or the Muslim Ummah. So this bill should be rejected. Government has full control to misuse this law. This bill also says that in Waqf board, 2 non-Muslims should be appointed. 2 non-Muslims. Waqf is only for the sake of Muslims. So we don't need 2 non-Muslims to decide what is to be done. Waqf decision should be taken only by the people who is very good at Sharia. So there are other organizations like the Akshardham board, Ayodhya board, which is of Hindus. No non-Hindus is allowed in that. The same way, Waqf board, only Muslims should allow. If this bill is passed, government will appoint 2 non-Muslims. Why is this? This is not required. So we should reject this bill. Another thing which is going to happen is anybody can come and claim that this is disputed property. So until that dispute is resolved, government will take over that property. And in India, the dispute will go up to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. The dispute may not resolve. Until that, the government can misuse that property. Another propaganda was created, campaigned, saying that Waqf can claim anybody's property. Waqf can go and Waqf board can say that this property belongs to Waqf. This is just a propaganda race to make people go against the Waqf board, One of the non-Muslims, a Sikh lawyer of Punjab, he says that he has not come across any cases where Waqf has claimed anybody's property. So there is no option that Waqf is going to claim anybody's property. Waqf will never claim anybody's new property. Only Waqf property, someone has, some illegal land mafia which is happening, encroachment. They go and illegally occupy that land which was Waqf's before. That only Waqf can claim. Any such dispute which Waqf has to claim, Waqf can claim only Waqf property which has been, illegally occupied by someone. And then such dispute will be resolved by the Waqf board, and there is a Waqf tribunal. The ultimate decision will be taken by them, and that includes three-member committee. One is a government official, the second one will be a civil servant officer, and the third is a Waqf expert. These three people at the end will take a decision on such claimed properties. So these and all are propagandas which has been campaigned by right-wing influencer, social media influencers, saying that Waqf has right to claim anybody's property. No, Waqf will never claim anybody's new property. Only in case someone is donating it, Waqf will take over it, and then Waqf will maintain. So at the end I would say that the Waqf properties should be used only for the development of Muslims. So if it is used properly, it can be very much beneficial for the poor Muslim community. So but right now it is not being used in a proper way because of the corruption within the Waqf board, within Muslims. So instead of, as of now, right now, let's keep that aside. We will look after it later. We should look after it later. We should object it and make sure we look into what is happening within the Waqf board. Who is that corrupt official, etc., etc. That should be done. But before that, right now, we should make sure that this bill is not passed. So if you have come across that email, make sure you send an email and show your objection. Tell them that, send an email to the joint parliament committee saying that you reject this bill. And later, inshallah, we all should focus on making the Waqf board clean from corruption, inshallah. Thank you. Jazakallahu Khairan.
شباب الإسلام هيا هيا أعيدوا مجدا أبيا فالحق يدعونا ينادي نور الأخوات في فؤادي